Okay, so hi everyone. We are back with the second session. So we'll have Dr. Jun Parker from Australia with us today. He will be sharing and talking about a whirlwind look through Japanese culture and sentimentality through development of Japanese music in the 70s and 80s with live performance. It is a very special session. Dr. Jun Parker is the director of an anesthesia department in a coastal regional town in the state of Victoria, currently undergoing the second lockdown. He grew up in Japan and relocated to Australia in high school for further schooling. One thing he brought from Japan on his first arrival to Australia some 20 years ago that stayed with him ever since is his love for Japanese 70s and 80s music. He will take you on a whirlwind tour of the development of Japanese music in the 70s and 80s through live performance as he explains the cultural intricacies behind the music and the lyrics to shed a light on Japanese modern culture and sentimentality. In particular, city pop music, a genre of music that flourished in the 1980s in Japan, is currently experiencing worldwide resurgence thanks to ease of access to music through online streaming. COVID lockdown can be a time to take on a new hobby or take a new look at your own creativity, and he hopes you can appreciate something new today. Dr. Debbie will introduce Dr. Jun Parker more.
Dr. Jun Parker and I actually didn't meet each other until this year. But before that, I remember in 2017, Dr. Suketaka Iwanaga messaged me and said that Dr. Jun Parker wants to join the alumni club. And it was like, wow, that's awesome. So I immediately connected with him and I try to get him to come every single year to any of our alumni event, but he is very busy. So I am very, very delighted that finally it happens, that we can be in the same event together. So I met him, and during that time, we also have Dr. Tony, who was with us in Singapore, right? And we were in Dr. Tony's new clinic opening, and then we had a good time together, and we talked about a lot of things. And I'm very excited because Dr. Jun is not just a doctor; he's also a very talented musician, and he's a wonderful, wonderful person to be with. So we want to share his amazingness to all of you. So,
Yes.
Praise. I don't deserve it, Debbie, but thank you very much. The way we met Debbie back then in Singapore, pure fluke, because I was in Japan and it was a massive typhoon. And I had to reroute my flight. It was the last flight out of Haneda Airport. And instead of having direct flight, I had to go to Singapore.
Yes.
And thank God that, I got on that flight because that's how I got to meet you. All right. So thank you very much for the introduction. I'm so honored to be here today in front of so many distinguished speakers. I don't feel as deserved, to be here right now. But let me talk a little bit about myself before I start with music. Like Davey said, I was born in Japan, grew up in Tokyo, and moved to Australia when I was 15, and went to medical school here. And I've worked in all different states in Australia. Got a good look at how different medical systems work in this country. Along the way, I got myself registered as a medical practitioner in Japan. I've worked as one in that capacity, and also sat all the USMLEs to be registered over in the US as well. And what I do over here in Australia, I enjoy medical challenges presented in an Australian rural environment. And I live in a town 400 kilometers from Melbourne, a town of about 10,000, beautiful, beautiful coastal town. And like the introduction, we are currently undergoing a second lockdown because there's been a resurgence of cases, so it's a second wave. And in Melbourne, which is our state capital, it's currently under strict level 4 lockdown, meaning that basically no one's allowed to go out of their house, and only one person out of each household is allowed to leave within 5 kilometers from your house to get your groceries, and nobody else is allowed to leave the house. Out here in rural Victoria, our lockdown is not as strict, but we also do have to stay home. In the Corona pandemic, I was lucky to be sort of involved in contributing to the national COVID management guidelines here. And what I also come to realize is that virus, you can't see it. It can be. It doesn't respect any geographical boundaries. So even a regional outpost like here, we've had cases. Just last week, I was involved in resuscitating a COVID positive 50-odd-year-old man, but unfortunately, we were unable to revive him. So even in a small rural outpost here, the pain of COVID and its effect on the people are quite palpable. Now, who would have thought we'd be facing a pandemic in 2020? But here we are. And, it's really enough. It's also kind of brought us all together in this, online platform and other different ways. All right. So now I'd like to move on to my topic. It may seem a little bit random, like Japanese 70s music. I do agree, but at the same time, I feel like I'm somewhat qualified to present this topic. I came to Australia quite a long time ago now, and like the introduction, I brought a lot of music from the 70s and 80s. I don't know, but I just loved it. Just loved the feel of it. If there are any Japanese participants, really, I would really appreciate comments or feedback. Now, so what I'm hoping to do today here is present a whirlwind tour of the development of a subset of pop music in Japan that evolved from the 70s through to the 80s, and we'll finish off with a modern musical interpretation of this development. Now, the central theme that underpins this talk is the genre of city pop. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with this genre of music, but it was rather shrouded in mystery outside of Japan, and virtually unheard of it outside of Japan. But believe it or not, it's actually taking the world by storm. It is. It's becoming quite a global, I think it is a global self-cultural sensation. If you look at YouTube, millions and millions of hits for playlists that play city pop music. And this is thank you to YouTube, thanks to musical streaming services online. Back in my days, I have to ride on my bicycle and go to record shop after record shop just to get the CD that I want. Take forever to find one. But I'm so pleased that this style of music is being appreciated by people across the borders. Now, so what is city pop? It's a type of music that was popularized from the mid 70s in Japan through to the late 80s, coinciding with the Japanese economic boom. During the Japanese economic bubble, there was so much confidence and exuberance in the entire nation. They used to say that the land of the the palace is in the center of Tokyo, worth more than the entire state of California. There's so much wealth and affluence and so much confidence happening back then. And in that context, the music started to develop and incorporate more urban feeling, drawing influences from soul, jazz, funk, disco, bossa nova, to name a few, with slick production. An entirely new type of music was born in Japan. I will not dwell too much on the historical aspect of city pop, but let's turn to a song. We'll wind back our time to 1988, the later stage of the development of city pop music. The song I'd like to present is Memories by Yasuhiro Abe. Yasuhiro Abe made his debut in 1982 with the single We Got It, featured on a Yokohama car tire commercial. A lot of people know, Yokohama Kawasaki. Yeah, it was featured in one of those commercials for the car tire company, and it earned him a nickname as one of the new wave quartet of city pop. Now, his music style is marked by refined mellowness, drawing many influences, especially from bossa nova. And he was actually quite an interesting guy as well, because he actually went study architecture first and worked in the corporate environment. Graduated from Waseda University, one of the top private universities in Japan, but he decided to turn to music. Yeah. Now, I love how the lyrics start in the song. He says, men dream of yesterday while women dreamt of tomorrow. I think they seem to capture the truism of romance from man's perspective versus women's perspective. I don't know, what do you think? I say truism, is it more an Asiatic sentiment expressed here about romance? I don't know. Maybe you guys can think about it. Then the protagonist of the song, the man laments the loss of this woman from his life, but the entire feel of the romance is of aloofness, and urban aloofness. It has emotional components, but for some reason it gives the feeling that it lacks deep spiritual connection. Some people refer to development of city pop music in terms of rising commercialism and an envy for city life. This could be taken as an imbuement of hedonism without being excessive. I think you can hear this kind of sentiment in this song. So let's start with the first song. And I'm just going to turn down the mic a little bit. You'll probably hear it better if you have headphones on. Okay. Just one thing. Sorry. Press these buttons. All right. So, Memories by Yasuhiro Abe. All right, so that one's Yasuhiro Abe, Memories. And I'd like to move on to going back to time even more. Let's go back to 1975, because I consider 1975 a key time in the development of city music, city pop music. This is the time when the Japanese economic transformation really began, so did the changes in music. In the West, around this time, singer-songwriters were popular. James Taylor, Jackson Browne, Carole King, and so forth. Music was moving away from something that was strictly controlled by recording companies. Artists were starting to write their own songs, write their own lyrics based on their own experiences. Songs became more personal and personable and more acoustic and more down to earth. You can almost equate this development in modern art that took place in the late 1800s. For example, the rise in impressionism, capturing the fleeting moments in life that unfolded in front of you rather than strictly conforming to a rigid dogmatic style imposed by an authoritarian professional body. So yeah, people were taking more control in their own music. In Japan, this same thing was happening. There's a genre of music called Yojohan folk music. This was a type of music that was quite popular from the late 60s through the 70s. Young men and women dreaming of success were leaving their rural towns and they headed for Tokyo, because that was the biggest city in Tokyo dream. They would then rent out a tiny room consisting of only 4.5 tatami mats. So in Japan, rooms are measured in terms of tatami mats. 4.5 tatami mat rooms are very, very tiny. and a lot of people, just young people, just had these tiny studio room, and that's where they lived. And in there they would write the songs reflecting on the journey, penning down their loves, the hopes of the future. And these songs have very acoustic feel, and often very rural and bucolic feel as opposed to urban feel. The next song that I'm going to play is by a folk duo called Kaze, called 22歳の別れ, meaning end of love at age 22. This was a #1 hit and debut song for the duo. The writer of the song, Shozo Ise, was already a Japanese musical sensation, having belonged to a very popular band called Kaguya Hime that had just disbanded. In this song, a woman recounts the 5 years of fulfilling romantic relationship she has had, but she now faces the last day of this relationship. She's being married off to a town her partner has never heard of. The lyrics start with her saying that this is the last day she can say goodbye to him, because if tomorrow came and if she felt the warmth of his hands again, she would just not be able to verbalize the goodbye again. So from the lyrics, you'll gather that the relationship lasted for 5 years, because on the 22nd birthday, there were 22 candles, and they blew off the last 5 candles together. Now, I'd like to contrast the feeling of this song to the last song. Actually, hang on. Batteries, right. Amy, choose up the battery a lot. I gotta watch the battery on my laptop.
Yeah, make sure you're not disconnected from us.
Yeah, I only got 10% left. Started off at 100%.
Wow.
Wow, Sugoi, I really enjoyed the first performance. It was so amazing.
Oh, thank you. Sorry about that. I apologize. All right. Yeah, sorry about that interruption. So, 22歳の別れ by Kaze. Anata ni さよならって言えるのは今日だけ。明日になってまたあなたの温かい手に触れたらきっと言えなくなってしまう、そんな気がして、私には鏡に映ったあなたの姿を見つけられずに、私の目の前にあった幸せにすがりついてしまった。一つだけこんな私のわがまま聞いてくれるなら、あなたはあなたのままで変わらずにいてください、そのままで。
Wow.
So good.
Fingering.
1975. And
Wow.
So good.
okay, I'm just being mindful of the okay, give me one moment. I only got 3% on my laptop. I need to get the
Okay.
I'll be back.
While he left, I wanted to tell you that it is so amazing that we can actually be in this platform together. It is in my passion and my heart to let everyone know that all of you are not just medical students, are not just doctors. You are an amazing individual with your passion. Please expand, and please do as your heart says, and do it so well, and enjoy it. And I think that our AMSA Alumni Club is a perfect place to grow together, to have the community that we appreciate and love one another. And do you know that Dr. Jun Parker has his own YouTube channel? It's JP Music / Moments. So if you can go and find him in YouTube and subscribe, this is our own person. This is our family. So I really am very happy that we are here, and this is it's a precious moment. Enjoy.
By the way, Dr. Jun, there was a comment in Japanese just now by a friend from Hong Kong.
Okay.
So he says, 切なさがちゃんとこっちに伝える.
Let me have a look. Let me have a look.
It was at the top. Yeah.
Oh, there are a lot of comments. I'll go back to the comments soon. All right.
Okay.
So, 2 more songs to go. Now, I want to stay on 1975 because I said 1975 is a key time, but it wasn't all about Yojohan folk music. The seed of city pop music had already been sown, and I would like to introduce you to Yumi Arai, who is endearingly and mononymously known simply as Yumi. And she's quite amazing. She's still at the height of her musical career, very popular even to this day, for 50 years. And she's one of the very first female artists to start writing her own songs and compose it and promote it. And so much mellowness and touch of urban influences. And she just wrote superb lyrics. She dealt with stories of everyday love and written in such approachable and realistic ways that so many people could feel, what she was feeling. It was even hailed, her lyrics were even hailed by the Japanese media back then as the Bible of love, Yeah, but basically, you may call her the Japanese 70s version of Taylor Swift, I'll say. Now, the song that I'm going to play is called Ame Station, means train station in the rain. Now, it actually specifically is based on a train station in Tokyo, in the more well-to-do western suburb of Tokyo, and it sings of again lost love. It's quite a central theme. Yeah, I say if you had to use one word to express the Japanese music sentiment in the 70s, it's melancholy. Melancholy underlines the most fundamental sentimentalism of this music. Anyhow, going back to the song, a woman, presumably Yumi herself, is sitting on a bench at the train station in the rain, just looking for her lost love in all the silhouettes that cross her by. And she starts the song by saying, for the sake of the new person that you have found, please don't ever think of me ever again. And the month is June, and it's the rainy season in Japan. So she sits and waits. In the chorus, she sings, "The rainy train station gives me the vague hope I may see him again. In hoping that, just how many silhouettes have I seen today?" So you'll notice that although this song is also from 1975, like the last song that I played on acoustic guitar, it has a very different feel to the previous song. And another trivia about this song is that if you go to this particular train station where the song is based at in Tokyo, every time a train comes, then they play an excerpt of this song. Okay, so this is Ame Station by Yumi Arai. 誰かのために私だと思い出さないで声にさえもならなかったあの人のこと季節は運んでく時の彼方6月は青くけるって何もかもにじませている雨のステーションあれに聞かしていくつ人影見送っただろうYeah, so that's Ameno section by Yumi. It has a very different, feeling to the acoustic song that I played. It's still melancholic, but it's different. It's different. All right. So a couple more minutes. Okay.
You have 5 more minutes.
Good. So just the right time. Okay. So I would like to end this talk with a final song. We have course through development of Japanese city pop music in 3 different songs, and now I would like to present you a modern interpretation of these music. You could suppose I could call it a neo city pop. This one is my original composition. Hopefully you appreciate some of the previously demonstrated musical influences in my song. This song is called Sumare Nagara. It means the state of being embraced. What is embracing you is not made clear, but implications are made that this may be distant memories, this may be dreams that you might have had in the past, this may be love, this may be something physical, and this state of embracement perhaps enhances you in some way. Okay, so this is my song. Let's go. めてこのままずっといてこれからずっと温めてずっといてそっと優しく離さぬようにそっと優しく離さぬようにEveryone sort of had a good feeling of what Japanese 70s, 80s music kind of sounded like. And I hope you enjoyed my session. If you like, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's JP Music. And Instagram is JPMusic_moments. So if you ever have a chance to come visit Australia, please come and visit my town, Portland, Victoria. We host students and young doctors to sort of as a sort of observership so that people can experience what rural medicine is like in Australia. And I think, it'll be a good experience for a lot of young students and doctors. Okay, thank you very much. And I hope you enjoyed tonight and all the other amazing speakers.
Thank you so much for the
Thank you so
Subarashi
much.
session, Dr. Jun. Thank you.
Can I just say that your music is so soulful? We can really feel it to the deepest of our hearts. And it's so amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Such kind words. Such kind words.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. Any questions? You can direct.
Oh, maybe we can pick one question from the floor. That would be great. Okay, so we're
Someone
open.
can raise hand.
Yes, anyone can raise your hand and we'll invite you on stage and we'll pass you the mic and you can verbalize your question. Oh, yes, we have one request for,
Grishma.
yes, Velia. Please invite her to the stage.
While she's coming up, I just want to say there are many people who ask for encore and they just cannot have enough and it's like, they don't want it to end.
Hi, Krishna.
Hi, Grishma.
Hello.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
Hi. Yes.
I love this session that's going on, and I love the way you all are hosting. Thank you so much. I love you, Debbie. So, and I loved how Dr. Jun has done his performance today. And thank you so much for everything. And my question is, how did he manage his time during his medical journey for his passion and his medical that study material and everything?
Mm-hmm. That's a very good question. Because what I found when I was going through medical studies was that
Yes.
you almost had to feel like you had to put your hobby on hold. And
Yeah.
medical study is so, I use the same word, dogmatic again. It's very rigid. It leaves no room for creativity. But
Yeah.
and there's so much wealth of information that you need to memorize and process and understand.
Exactly.
There's simply the too much information in the world. So if you just try to know everything, you got to know every single fact that's in textbook to know everything. You can't do that. So you must always switch off. You must, and I say you have to cultivate your creative side of your mind and your soul that's outside of your medicine. Because if you don't do that, then you become a very rigid person.
Exactly.
It can be difficult when you start working. You're always at the hospital. There were times when in your life that you'll find it very difficult to spare time to do your hobby, and that's okay. That's okay. There are tough times in life, but if you have a moment and try to switch off and turn to your creative side of your soul.
So thank you so much for this. Your accent is really well and your music is really well. Thank you so much.
Yeah, one thing I also wanted to say was, and also to Dr. Santosh as well. Like there are a lot of participants from Nepal, and I was there last year, and it's I had an amazing time in Nepal last year. So it's great to be able to from Nepal.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Santosh is also a great
Bye.
singer. And let's do this one.
Bye.
you,
You do
guys.
this one. I love this one. Bye bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank-
Goodbye.
Thank you, Dr. Jun.
How do I leave?